Countless men have shared a dream of playing under the brightest lights. They all feel they belong. They all feel they've earned it. From freshman football on Wednesdays to college game day on Saturdays, they've been the best of the best, working tirelessly to hone their craft. Exhaustion, injuries, nothing will stop them from reaching their dream. They will not be outworked. They will not let someone take it from them, for they know nothing will be gifted to them. They know that to make it, you've got to take it. They will not be outworked. From scorching summer workouts to pro days, they prepare. The Combine does not hold records. It presents challenges. A draft spot can be earned or lost by tenths of a second. They've worked their whole life for this. Doubt them if you will, but this is no longer just a dream. This is their story.
The Dynasty Madden League grind in 365.
Welcome into the DML Network and another episode of the Gridiron. I'm your host expert, and I got my all-star crew with me here today. Let's start off with none of them, my brother. It's H-Speed, owner of those Washington Redskins. What's going on, my guy?
Let's go back. I'm ready to scout people's head.
Let's go back. Next up, it's the OG. It's Taz, the big homie. What's up, Taz?
What's going on, fellas? Glad to be on.
No doubt. Last but not least, it's the co-commish. You know him as Little Suge Knight. We call him Tone. What's going on, Tone?
What up?
No doubt. Let's get on these top picks. We'll try and project where they're going to go at. And we'll talk a little bit about their college career and where they at. You know, guys, in the Dynasty, how important the offseason is to prepare you for the next year. We've seen guys go from a bad team, get a couple good draft picks, and make positive changes on their team. And we're going to start with a very, very good tight end. Very good tight end coming out of the University of Nebraska. This is a monster at tight end. And H-Speed, I know this guy is on your radar. DeAndre Herman. What can you tell us about this tight end?
DeAndre Herman is one of the most athletic tight ends to be a draft prospect in maybe the last decade. The guy is a former basketball player. Seems like that's the trend with a lot of these GMs. They're getting former basketball players because of their footwork. And that's where he excels at. DeAndre Herman played basketball. And he transferred to the University of Nebraska. The guy is big, he's strong, and he's athletic. He's very quick. He's a great route runner. And a lot of GMs told me that they're projecting him to go in the first round. It varies where he can go. He can go as high as the top 10, or he might slide back to the back half of the first round, but he's definitely a first round prospect. Some of the issues that I've heard from GMs, what's scaring him away is that his run blocking at the point of attack. He's not a good inline blocker. Okay, the guy needs to work on blocking, because when you get guys like JJ Watt and you get guys on the edge that you're going to have to block as a tight end in order for the run game to work, he simply just cannot make those plays right now, and he will only be a passing threat. So H-Speed, you brought up he's maybe not the greatest run blocker coming out of college at the tight end position. Taz, is that an attribute when you look at guys that you're going to put on your offensive line, especially with Madden 18, where you might shy away from this guy because he's not a run blocker? Or is that just where you got to give him some help when you put him on that end of that line?
Well, I think it really depends on what type of scheme that you run. I mean, if you have a good back that, is going to carry the ball, a lot for your offense, then you definitely need a tight end that's going to help in that blocking. Now, at the same time, if you're a vertical offense, then you just might need him to chip, release, and get out open in the space. So, for him, I think it's just going to depend on who drafts him, what their scheme is, and how they're going to try to utilize it.
That's a good point. Gotta Got to fit the scheme with the players that you pick. And Tone Dog, let's start right there. Who in the dynasty we look at right now where you think this guy might fit best? Now, I'm not going to give you any hints, but the Houston Texans are not very pleased with their tight end. But let's say this tight end is available when the Denver Broncos pick. Is this a Tone Dog type of player?
I would say, yeah. You know, the tight end is one of those positions, man, where they say he's the quarterback's best friend. Kind of, you know, when the quarterback is scrambling or needs to find that bigger body down the field, he's one of the guys that you want to look at. Currently, the Broncos do run 2 tight end set a lot of times, as well as a few other teams in the dynasty. So I would definitely agree. I mean, he's somebody that the Denver Broncos would look at. I would even say maybe somebody like the Seattle Seahawks. They're more of a running team, but when they do throw, they're not looking to throw like, you know, down the field 30 yards. I mean, they're looking to kind of hit the tight end for the first down. So I would say, you know, probably he would definitely get looked at some of those teams who run the ball a lot. The Cowboys have a great offensive line. He could probably be a good inside blocker, even though he's not a run blocker. But, you know, the line that the Cowboys have, he would definitely fit with their scheme just because he can kind of fit in just to that mold of what they do. And so, I mean, that tight end is going to be a good one. He can probably catch the ball. Can't wait to kind of see what his speed is going to look like. But as a downfield threat and somebody who can get you a first down when you need it, he's definitely going to get a good look.
No doubt.
Let me add this. I've heard that a lot of the scouts were comparing him to a guy like Jordan Reed. And what team wouldn't love to have a guy as versatile as Jordan Reed as a pass catcher? Now, as a run blocker, he definitely needs to get into the strength program and get stronger and work on his technique to be a better run blocker. But if you can get a guy with the skills of Jordan Reed as a tight end, it's a guy that every GM and a DML would love to have.
No doubt. And that is the tight end out of Nebraska, DeAndre Herman. But let's go to this next guy who I think the DML is just salivating over. It is the wide receiver coming out of Alabama. It's Percy Sanders. Now, Taz, this is a guy that can change a game on 1 or 2 touches with the ball. What is the most exciting thing about Percy Sanders?
Man, the thing that has Percy Sanders, you know, getting everybody excited about is he's just a freak. He's 6'6", 223 pounds, got crazy hops, great hands, and exceptional speed for his height. Now, some of the negatives is his route running isn't all that great. Now, he may have a little hard time learning the playbook at the pro level, but I don't think it will be that hard. You know, he's in Alabama, so he's running a pro scheme anyway. You know, and then the other thing is, how durable is he? You know, he's a big body, and so he's going to take some shots. But, you know, it's just one of those things. We need, everybody's waiting for these combine numbers to come out. Everybody wants to see where Percy Sanders, what he's going to do in the combine. Right now, you know, we have him projected to go maybe early 3rd round, but just his build and some of, you know, the pros that I've already spoke on, I think that might move him up into late 1st, maybe early 2nd round.
Yeah, no doubt. Tone Dog, can you see Percy making it all the way to round 2 or round 3 in the dynasty?
No, not at all. 6'6". This guy is Calvin Johnson reincarnated. I know they have a few knocks on him that, you know, he might be a class clown and all that kind of stuff, but once he steps onto the field, this guy is a vertical threat. He's gonna beat you. You guys watch the tape. You put out the tape. This guy is abusing DBs. He's at least a foot over most of the cornerbacks that are coming out right now. This guy is a monster. Please do not sleep on this guy. And matter of fact, there's another guy that came from the SEC named Percy a while ago, Percy Harvin. These guys named Percy, man. There's something about that Percy dude. I would not sleep on this guy. I would not sleep on him.
Hey, Speed, let me bring you in here because not because you like throwing the wide receivers, because you're the running king of the dynasty, but is this a guy that you could see maybe in a New England Patriot jersey come next season in Madden 18?
Absolutely not. Percy Sanders is not the type of guy that fits into the New England passing scheme. In order to play in the New England scheme, you have to run a 4-3, and you have to be 5'9", 5'10" to play for the New England Patriots. But I will speak on Percy's. The biggest thing with Percy is Percy. Percy has a lot of maturity issues that he gotta work through. And when he goes to the combine and he goes to those interviews, there's gonna be two things that's gonna either propel his draft stock or sink his draft stock. And one of those things is, what do he run in the 40? Everybody's waiting for that. And also, how does Percy do in the interviews with one-on-ones with the GMs and his Wonderlic? So it's going to be interesting to see where Percy lands. Percy Sanders got all the physical tools to be able to play at the next level, but can he put it all together?
Yeah, it's a good point. I know this. There are 32 owners in the Dynasty that will be licking their chops when these combine numbers come out for Percy, just to see how fast this man was, because he made plays all over the field at Alabama, and that's not an easy place to do it within the SEC with that tough competition. But let's go to one of the top quarterbacks that we have coming out in the Dynasty, and it's one from my favorite school. It's the University of Wisconsin, and it's none other than Lane Boyd. This is a guy that loves to stand in the pocket, use his height to just stand over guys, look over that offensive line, and he has great accuracy in that pocket and moving out of the pocket. Standing at 6'5" is always a good thing when you're a pocket quarterback. He is the exact opposite of a Russell Wilson, who also played at Wisconsin. But this is a guy that just knows how to find that open guy. Now, one of the problems that we saw with Lane Boyle at Wisconsin is he kind of gets rattled if you can get to him early. It kind of reminded me sort of that Peyton Manning when he was early in his career, where if he got sacked in those first couple series, it was difficult for Peyton to get on that road that he was usually on. But Taz, I'm gonna go to you. Lane Boyle, I know you're looking for a quarterback there in Los Angeles. Is this a Ram capable quarterback?
Yes, he is. I'm not gonna lie. I'm licking my chops thinking about what he could do in my offense. As you guys already know, last draft, I went heavy on offensive line. I tried to pretty much get my O-line that I want to have for the entire cycle. I tried to draft them last draft. I got a couple more pieces here and there, but they're ready to have their superstar quarterback behind them, and they're ready to protect him. And Lane Boyle could be that guy. 6'5", oh my God, yeah.
Okay, Tone, let me let you get in here. You got a lot of guys in the Dynasty that are going to be picking in those top 1 to 10 picks who need a quarterback. What team jumps out at you? Is it the Cleveland Browns, who just traded away Kaiser? Is it a Rams team? Is it one of those teams? Maybe even we go Seahawks, or maybe even Ravens that need a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, those are some good teams. I wouldn't even sleep on a team like the Panthers. Cam is getting long in the tooth. He's going to need somebody to replace him. And kind of just to get back on this Wisconsin quarterback, I mean, anybody knows anything about Big Ten football, these guys are playing great defense, smash mouth football. Besides Ohio State and Penn State, not a lot of passes downfield. But this guy is 6'5", huge arm, not taking a lot of chances. He's got a great completion percentage. He's going to put you in the right spot. Definitely a coachable kid. I'm kind of looking forward to kind of seeing what he's going to do on the big screen.
All right, H-Speed, I'm going to bring you in. Is this a Redskin quarterback? I know maybe Kirk Cousins doesn't make it another year in Washington.
It's some questions with Lane Boyle that has to be answered. Another team that we didn't mention that needs a quarterback too is the Tennessee Titans. They traded away Marcus Mariota, so I'm sure he's definitely speaking to the Titans GM. They was really high on Boyle. As far as the Washington program, this guy, the pressure issue, as far as him shrinking when getting pressured, that's definitely a big concern for our franchise. We need a guy that can stand in there and deliver the football even when it's being blitzed. Even though we have a monster back there that's going to take a lot of the pressure off of him and some IGP Ryan. So it'll be interesting to see if Lane Boyle's on the board when Washington selects. Would we pull the trigger?
No doubt. And that's just one side of the ball at Wisconsin. We know that they also love to play defense. And they have a linebacker coming out of Wisconsin and Mr. Fisher Bird that we need to talk about. Fisher Bird on the opposite side, just a monster at that linebacker position, made plays all over the field. H-Speed, I know you like big physical linebackers. What'd you like about this kid?
Fisher Bird is a guy that he plays downhill. He's a thumper. You know what I mean? He reads the play. He comes down and makes the play. He's a very smart, cerebral type of a linebacker, and that's the type of guy that you want leading your defense, making the defensive calls, getting guys in the right position. That's the type of thing that Fisher Bird does. What's going to be interesting to see what physical tools that Bird has at the combine. The combine is gonna show a lot of Fisher Bird. So yeah, we definitely need to see what he does in the combine as far as the 40. But he's a little undersized as well, so that's going to be a concern for GMs. But Fisher can do everything you need at the middle linebacker position.
Taz, is him being undersized at linebacker, is that a bigger concern as maybe it was, several cycles ago? We're talking about now where most of these linebackers, we're looking for that quick, speedy linebacker that can cover all sides of the field. Him being undersized, is that any kind of an issue?
I don't know. I'm kind of going to lean towards yes, just because being undersized, playing middle linebacker in the DML, like he's going to be in on almost every play. Is he going to be durable enough to make it all 16 games? We can't have a linebacker that's supposed to be the leader on the defense that, every time you turn around, he's going out because of an injury. Oh, he sprained an ankle. Oh, he pulled a hamstring. We don't, injuries are bad enough, but, we just have to see on him.
So Taz brings up a good point. Is his durability going to hold up? Tone Dog, maybe, is this one of those linebackers maybe that you may put to the outside and you let him maybe not take the brunt force of that run game all the time, maybe put him at outside linebacker?
Yeah, I think left outside or right outside linebacker would definitely be a good spot, something in the 3-4 scheme. But you guys got to remember, he played with J.J. Watt's little brother, T.J. Watt, out of Wisconsin. He was able to make plays because the D-line at Wisconsin was so formidable. So it allowed him to kind of move around and, scrape the backside and peel off and get those running backs. Even though he's undersized, he's pretty quick. So he was able to kind of cover the tight ends down the field. This guy is a gamer. Even though he's undersized, he's going to give you that big playability like a big boy.
No doubt. H-Speed, this guy's projected middle of the first round. Some scouts I've even seen him going as late as early second. Where do you see this guy fitting in the Dynasty draft?
Like I said, I think the combine really going to either propel him up the draft board or drop him down the draft board. Looking at this guy, man, I think he can definitely make all of the plays. It's just a matter of a fit. If he interviews well and a guy is in the middle of the first round, I can definitely see him possibly going in the middle of the first round. But I can also see him going into the second round, early part of the second round. So it really depends.
No doubt. All right, guys, we got one more guy to talk about, and he comes from that Auburn University. It's none other than Will Miller, the defensive tackle, the This guy reminds me of the Incredible Hulk we saw with the Atlanta Falcons. Tone Dog, what is it about Will Miller just stands out to you?
Man, Will Miller, man, this guy is a monster. He's strong, he's agile, he's huge. He comes in at about 298 pounds, which is basically ideal. Everybody says you kind of want your D tackle to come in at around 300. He's 2 pounds shy. That's like 1 cheeseburger, 2 cheeseburgers for him. This guy is a naturally gifted specimen. The knock on him is that he only started football his senior year of high school. He went to JUCO for 2 years. It was actually the same JUCO as Cam Newton, Blaine up in there in Texas, before transferring to Auburn, just like Cam Newton. He's still raw, and he's got a lot to learn. But some of the good things was he was a team captain, and he's a hard worker. And unfortunately, he had to go through some tough circumstances growing up. He lost his mother and his father at the age of 14, and he had to kind of get to work early to support his younger brothers and sisters. But this guy has played in the SEC for 5 years. He's the 5th-year guy. He knows what it's about in the trenches. This guy balls out like week after week after week. Now he didn't win that many games as far as against Alabama and those other big powerhouses, LSU and the SEC, but this guy is the product of SEC football. He's the nose tackle. He's gonna basically secure the double teams. He's gonna allow the defense, the back 9, to do what they're gonna do. And even like the guy that we talked about earlier, that middle linebacker, this D tackle is the tackle that you want to basically free up everybody else to do what they're going to do. This guy is a monster.
No doubt. Taz, Tone brings up the point. This guy not played football as long as we've seen from other guys. So really his upside is a huge bonus for this kid. Is him having maybe not so much experience going to cause teams to kind of shy away from him?
Not at all. I think everybody's going to be foaming at the mouth trying to grab this kid. I just believe, his combine numbers are probably going to be ridiculous, and everybody's going to want him. He's going to move his stock up, just fly up the draft boards of every team in the DML. He reminds me of my starting D tackle, Michael Brockers out of LSU, another SEC guy. Brockers is a beast. He's 6'5", 302. This kid is 6'3", 298, around there. I mean, he reminds me of Brockers, and if I needed the D tackle, he would definitely be up there at the top portion of my board.
H-Speed, one of the things scouts have talked about this guy is that he's able to play multiple positions on that defensive line. Does that give him a boost when it comes to the draft in the Dynasty?
Versatility definitely is a plus when trying to get acclimated to a defensive scheme. You need to be able to rotate your defensive line in and out, and therefore you need to be able to play multiple positions. You need to be able to play that nose. You need to be able to play that 3 technique. One of the things that's going to hurt a guy like Will Miller is a guy like Jordan Dietrich that just got drafted from the Arizona Cardinals last draft. This guy was an absolute stud, and when you see a guy go like that, you have to live up to that type of a player. That guy Dietrich is an animal. He's right now he's 87 overall, wreaking all kinds of havoc. So for Miller to be the top projected defensive tackle, being compared to a guy who just went the year before in Dietrich to the Arizona Cardinals, is probably going to hinder him now. Can he reach that level? That's the real question.
Yeah, no doubt. Tone Dog, where does Will Miller find himself next season in the Dynasty?
Well, I mean, you got to look at the teams that are right now, kind of relying on that defensive side of the ball. I mean, I would say maybe even the Vikings might give him a good look. I mean, the Vikings are a team that pride themselves on defense. They like their back 9 to kind of play free. They're kind of going to more of the man coverage, and this guy right here will allow you to kind of do whatever you need to do on that backside, even without blitzing. I mean, this guy's going to take up double teams. He's going to allow those linebackers to run free. And, this guy is a monster. Looking forward to see what he can do in the NFL.
No doubt. All right, guys, those are the 5 rookies we are looking at here in the Dynasty. on this latest edition of the Gridiron Dynasty. Make sure you go spend those scouting points. Look at these guys. Maybe 1, 2, or all 5 would fit your scheme. But that's the guys we're looking at. I want to give a big shout out to the cast, H-Speed, Taz, and the homie Tone Dog. I appreciate y'all jumping on. Always great to get y'all's guys' insight when we talk about these rookies coming up in the draft. And I just appreciate y'all jumping on.
Of course.
Sir.
Absolutely. Let's go back.
All right, make sure you guys hit that like button. Subscribe to the Dynasty and the DML Network. Keep up to date with all the latest content we got coming out. This has been The Gridiron. I'm your host, Expert, and we out.